creada para ti, ya tú sabes. No te olvides, fue creada para ti, ya tú sabes. No lo dudes, mi amor crece como abril. Te amo, te amo, te amaré. Me cansa el esperar, ojalá juntos descansaré. Dos como ya te amo, que no pierde esperanza, diseñada para ti, un día tú verás. Mi amor brilla con el mar iluminado, te sentirás. Mi amor calma con una brisa del verano. Il nous compose le chef d'orchestre, il nous écrit l'écrivain, et jamais une parole l'écrira-t-il en vain. Il nous façonne le sculpteur, mieux que Michelangelo. Il nous peigne le peintre, mieux que Matisse ou Van Gogh. Amor crece como abril, crece, crece, crece como primavera, primavera. Amor crece como abril, crece, crece, crece como primavera, primavera.
Peace and blessings, peace and blessings. Welcome back again to another beautiful, spectacular, magnificent conversation that me and my brother, Moray Kanaya, will be having. This is the Prince and the Professor podcast. And as always, we're here to have intelligent, thought-provoking conversations that lead to action that changes our trajectory as a people. But most importantly, we got to start off as individuals. So with that being said, before I go any further into introducing the subject matter today, I want to give way to my brother, Moray Kanaya, the Professor. I'm say a couple words to the audience real quick. It's all you, big bro.
Peace, 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 peace. Peace to you, friends. Peace to the family. Highly anticipated discussion. I think the topics will be thought-provoking. And I Ready to get it in. So, peace to the family again. Let's get started, Prince.
Let's get started, man. It's a lot of stuff going on in the world right now. As me and you, we have the privilege to pretty much talk kind of often. Once a day, we try to, maybe every other day, even if it's for 20, 30 minutes. And we do so not just to, shoot the bobo, as they used to say in my time, right? But we like to stimulate each other by having conversations relative to the social construct in which we face each and every day. And so, with that understanding, I wanted to say this. Before I go any further. Again, what makes this particular platform different than most is that we're not just having conversation based on gossip, hearsay, popular culture, trending topics. Even when we deconstruct a trending topic, we're doing so in a very critical and analytical way. This is why it's called the Prince and the Professor podcast. My brother is going to come from a scholarly perspective, and I'm going to come from the geopolitical and social perspective. But we're going to merge the two together so that we can have not just, again, thought-provoking conversation, as I mentioned earlier, but that we can have things that are applicable to our lives. So when we hear these conversations and then we have these discussions, that it produces change in our realities. Because if we're not contextualizing our people the way the enemy is contextualizing us and taking us away from our nature, taking away from, the necessary practices that protect us and preserve us, we're going to be victimized for another 150 years, 400 years in the future. And that's something that we just cannot risk. So we're going to have conversations today. And I think this episode, and I said the same thing last week, and they're going to continuously, be a little bit more, not just edgy, but they're going to be sensitive. Because these are conversations that we may have in the privacy of our homes, that we may have in barbershops. But when it comes to speaking about these particular incidents in a public sphere, then we get a little apprehensive. Then those reservations kick in. One, because either we're ignorant about said subject matter and we don't want to show our lack of knowledge and information, or we're much closer to these things and we don't want to expose our true intentions, thoughts, and actions that may be in conflict with our very best self-interest. But we understand that. A lot of our people, and even us, we're not perfect. We're far from it. We practice things that we shouldn't be practicing. We're doing things that we shouldn't be doing. But at some point, as men, as intelligent men, as protectors, as providers, we have to draw that line of demarcation. We have to draw that line in the sand and say, well, certain things we just can't stand for. Certain things we just can't tolerate. Certain things we just cannot allow to go further because it's too detrimental to our people, and it prevents our progress, and it prevents our ability to become a free, self-sufficient, self-sustainable, self-governing people. And that, brothers and sisters, is always the aim and the objective. I want to go into the first part. How do we protect our children? I'm going to play a clip. I want to play this clip with Mike Tyson first because as I segue into what I really want to talk about protecting our children, I want to show the audience you can be one of the greatest, arguably, fighters of all time, a affluent man, not just influential, but got money and a man of means, and you can still be victimized by white supremacy. And if certain people and things weren't in place, I would say, Brother Moray Kanaya, that the situation would have went vastly different, and our brother would have been in a predicament where he would not just been victimized, he could have been incarcerated or even worse. Because they set us up for failure and they put us in these positions where ultimately, if we don't lose our freedom, we lose our lives, and we go with the narrative. But each and every day, we know, coming from the inner cities of Chicago, different places in America, that, yeah, we off track. I'll be the first to admit that. But a lot of times, most of the times, our situations are provoked. There are agendas and schemes and schisms that's put in place to take advantage of a people who has lost the knowledge of self or who is suffering from what seems to be an insurmountable opposition that we identify as the system of white supremacy. So I want to go with this first clip, Moray. Anything, not to be on a long diatribe, anything before I play this clip, anything you want to add to it real quick?
No, sir. Go ahead.
Let's get it.
Is in South Florida right now after a fight on a flight that was all caught on camera.
Yeah, the boxing legend was seen punching a man on a JetBlue plane. Local 10 News reporter Parker Branson is live on Miami Beach.
And that's exactly where Tyson spoke yesterday at a cannabis conference. Parker, what did he have to say?
Christy, in that conference, the schedule for it had to be shaken up a little bit because Mike Tyson wasn't here because of what happened on that plane. We've all seen that cell phone video where Tyson is throwing punches. His team saying before this, though, he was being harassed and even had a water bottle thrown at him. Mike Tyson seen on video alongside Ric Flair and Rick Ross at the Fontainebleau Thursday night. Tyson was at the hotel in Miami Beach for a cannabis conference just hours after he was seen on cell phone video punching a man on his JetBlue flight leaving San Francisco. Hey. Moments before fists start flying, the man was seen trash-talking Tyson.
Talk to your boss, talk to my boss.
The man who was punched escaping the boxing legend with only a few cuts and bruises.
Boy just got beat up by Mike Tyson. Turn that way. Yeah, he got up.
TMZ is identifying the passenger as 36-year-old Melvin Townsend, who apparently has a prior criminal record. The media outlet uncovering this previous mugshot, TMZ saying Townsend has been convicted of fraud, grand theft, burglary, possession of controlled substances, and trafficking in stolen property.
You'd have to be drunk or stupid to just say anything other than hi to Mike Tyson. I mean, why in the...
That's enough of that clip. Let me open up with this briefly, Moray. Let me thank that news syndicate for actually being forthcoming and honest about the lack of integrity that white man has. Usually, when we're in positions where police or altercations happen, even in our own murder, they dig up all of the dirt that they can find on us to legitimize our being killed or murdered. So it was good to see that this criminal, I'm gonna use their language now, this hoodlum, this, you know what I'm saying, this social deviant that was harassing and bothering and physically trying to abuse our dear brother Mike Tyson, that they brought the true narrative out on this gentleman. But I do want to say this, shout out to that black man who was filming it. But I do want to talk about us and filming and coming in the next couple conversations that we're going to have on this podcast. But the initial conversation, Moray, and the reason I want to bring this up, the initial conversation when this first surfaced was Mike Tyson, this megalomaniac, this predator who has a violent history, attacked an innocent man on a JetBlue flight. TMZ put it out, and we know how disgusting TMZ can be with the narratives relative to black athletes and entertainers. But because this footage surfaced, and that didn't even show in scope the nasty and insidious language that white man was using relative to Mike Tyson and his harassment, and then they didn't show him actually assaulting him with a water bottle, which when allowed Mike Tyson to defend himself. But the question I want to pose to you, Professor, one, how do we combat that narrative that we should not, and in most cases are unable to defend ourselves out of the fear of either our own death or if we have some type of celebrityism, our public damnation and condemnation? What do we do in those situations from a scholarly standpoint that you would say? It's on mute right now. You got yourself on mute.
Well, I think that each situation will require a certain type of action. We've seen this as another I've seen Charles Barkley be white guys at bars. I mean, this is nothing new. As far as making here's the thing. I think you draw the line at is where the disrespect actually goes. You know, if he disrespects you to the point where he maybe it's racial or he attacks your manhood, you know, those are to me may require physical action. But we got to be careful because sometimes they draw us into these type of situations because they're trying to tear us down. We can't be foolish and going up slapping everybody that come up and say something to us. You know, these people are celebrities. We see it at NBA games all the time, heckling. You know, so I think that a lot of these black people that are in the limelight just have to maybe set a code. You know, this is fair. You know, so and this is kind of over the line. And so I think we have to draw those lines because we don't want them, you know, into situations because sometimes they're doing it on purpose. There's a plan behind it, you know, to get us to react because a lot of it is built on jealousy and trying to tear us down. And so we can't fall for the okie doke. But at the same time, I think that certain types of heckling, certain types of heckling requires a certain type of action. So I'm not sure. I mean, I don't think it's enough on that clip for me to actually make a judgment on whether Mike Tyson should have knocked him out. I heard a few things, but it seems as if the man was on the roll. So obviously, I'm gonna give Mike Tyson the benefit of the doubt. Obviously, the man said something that was pretty over the top because he seemed to be pretty drunk and pretty irate. That gave the impetus for Mike to respond that way. So, like I said, everything is different, but we got to be intelligent because sometimes, hey, they trying to get us, provoke us into those type of situations so they can get our money, so they can tear us down and create that image. So we have to create a code. You know, I'm talking about black celebrities need to create some type of code of conduct in regards to how they relate to the public. So that's my advice. So, but I don't think it's enough there for me to say he should have punched him in the face. I don't know. I think yeah, the way the guy was rolled, he went out over the line. So,
Well,
that's all
yeah, absolutely. I mean, one thing's for sure, that Mike Tyson combination is still there. You know, you seen them punches that he was throwing. And yes, that particular excerpt did not do it justice relative to the lewd and explicit language that provocateur was using. But I don't just want to frame it around Mike Tyson. And you may mention not just celebrities, brother, because a lot of our people on the streets daily are baited into that type of response, which they don't have the protection of not just film, but of celebrityism and a environment quite naturally that's somewhat controlled. You know what I mean? Whereas there's no other like weapons that he can be killed or knives or those type of things because they're on a plane. It shouldn't be, at least, due to the security check. So it's somewhat safer. But a lot of our people who are baited intentionally go for the bait, and then they're justified in that baiter in killing them because now they're defending themselves. You get what I'm saying? And so the reason why I wanted to use this particular excerpt because I want to kind of heighten the awareness of black men in particular on how easy. Now, I'm not saying Mike Tyson didn't handle it correctly. I think in that situation, he did handle it correctly. You know what I'm saying? Relative to everything that was going on. You know what I mean? And I think a certain precedence has to be set that just because they are celebrities, that don't mean you can get to that level of physical harassment and it be justified because they're just supposed to take it as a celebrity. So I think he responded appropriately. But I also want to say, for those black men who are in the streets who are not afforded the luxury of being one of the greatest boxers of all time and then have a reemerging of celebrityism with his podcast and other things that he's doing, that are baited each and every day, whether it be by police, whether it be by their white manager or boss, whether it be with, with those white women who may flirt with them a little bit. And we see a lot of black men who go into clubs and bars and in those white enclaves and never come out. You know what I'm saying? Like those situations, those are all baits. Hey, buddy, we're going to have a couple drinks after work today. You want to come out with us? And you end up in this all-white bar. Next thing you know, the guy dead. Like the brother, I think it was in PA, where he was going hunting with some of his white friends. The guy was from Jamaica, and he ends up dead. Nobody knows what happened. One Negro in the woods with 5 or 6 hunkies, excuse the pejorative, 5 or 6 white people hunting, and he was the one being hunted the whole time. So again, it's greater than just discerning language in how to respond. We have to be discerning in everything that we do. What is the desired result that we seek from whatever engagement that we put ourselves in, and what is the reality in which we're operating in? Not a fabricated one to placate to our emotions at that particular moment, but what's the reality of these people that we're about to engage with? And what's the likelihood of harm or danger coming my way? And what's the likelihood of it being a sort of ceremonial language that's used to entice me, and so that I lower my guards, and then I'm still victimized? So that's the conversation that I kind of just wanted to bring forward. But we don't have to go too deep in there right now, because I want to play this next clip, because that is a segue to what should be the most important responsibility. And I really want us to go in on this particular one, Professor. I really want us to understand the importance of protecting our babies. You can make a case through our captivity the last 400 plus years that at certain points have been greater than others, but we've been collectively ineffective of protecting our children. Not just physically, educationally, socially, psychologically, emotionally, and definitely spiritually through religiosity. But I think, and I want to lean to my scholar for this, that over the past 35, 40 years, it's been significantly heightened in our inability to protect our children, coming out of the late 70s into the 80s with a boom of the drug epidemic here in America, and the incarceration of black men and the reversing of roles of black women. And now children have a predominant role relative to their ability to decide the fate of their own lives relative to their parents. And then being backed by schools and outside institutions which don't have our best interests in mind, that tell those children that if your mother spanks you, that you can equate that to abuse and she can be incarcerated. So now the children are in the role of punishing the parents. And so you look at all these different dynamics and you see these things happen continuously and continuously and continuously. I'm going to play this video and then I'm going to let you take over from there.
It's controversial video that has people asking, should an 8-year-old boy have been detained by police over stealing a bag of chips?
What is y'all doing?
The videotape shows an officer holding the boy by both arms, leading him to a patrol car in Syracuse, New York. He is not handcuffed.
What is y'all doing? Hey, he like a baby to me.
The video was taken by a passerby who found it hard to believe what was happening.
So what's going on then?
He's stealing stuff. If he breaks into your house, you steal something.
Nah, man. What, he stole a bag of chips? So y'all treat me like a whole cold-blooded killer?
As the back and forth continues, you can hear the kid wailing.
That's what was happening.
The witness, Kenneth Jackson, offers to intervene.
If he stole some chips, I'll pay for him. I'll pay for him. Here, I'll walk him home.
The officers put the boy's bike in their vehicle and explain they're driving him home.
These kids have been stealing.
A debate is now raging. Did the cops overreact, or did they handle it appropriately?
Given recent history, when people view things like this and they say, it's an 8-year-old child screaming, could you just talk to? There's something.
Morey, take the lead off.
Well, we've never been able to protect our children.
Morey, let me say this, Morey. You breaking up pretty bad. Yeah, you're breaking up pretty bad. I don't know if it's your internet connection.
Can you hear me?
I hear you a little bit better. Your internet connection is breaking up a little bad. I don't know if you're on Wi-Fi or regular internet. Go ahead. Unmute yourself.
Can you hear me?
I hear you now. Go ahead. Start from the beginning.
Well, I said that we've never been able to protect our children in America. That's been a problem since the plantation, going up into even Reconstruction in the lynchings. The Red Summer of 1921 was started with a child that was killed here in Chicago when he was at the lakefront. That started a whole race, almost.
Yeah, Rainbow Beach.
I guess you call it 1921 a race war. So then, even after that, I mean, during the lynching eras in the South, kids were lynched and, I mean, beat up, and they were tarred and feathered. I mean, we've never been able to protect our babies. Emmett Till, you know. I think in the North, it was a little bit different than the South, especially after Reconstruction. But even in the North, you know, with the police, the so-called race soldiers, we've never been able to protect our children from the police department or anything else. So this particular incident with this young black kid being abused by the police is it's not even a new phenomenon at all. This is something that we've been grappling with during this whole American experience, and so for me, the way that we must begin to protect our children is that we have to get ourselves together as men. Where's his father? Where was his father at? Did someone know where he was at? We have to, parenting black parents, we know that we have to be extra when it comes to caring for our children and protecting our children, because we can barely protect ourselves here in the land of captivity. So if we want to start, I want to go further, but I'll let you talk about it, then I'll respond to what you have to say. But my initial reaction is that we've never been able to protect our children, and that this is an ongoing issue from Emmett Till all the way to the young man who was killed in Florida with the hoodie. I forgot his name.
Trayvon Martin. Trayvon Martin, yeah. So this is an ongoing issue.
the young boy that was playing with the play gun and was shot and killed.
Tamir Rice.
By a police officer. Killed the baby.
Tamir Rice, yeah.
So this is nothing.
Well, let me. I'm gonna respond, but
this is because what we have. Yeah.
So Moray, you're breaking up still kind of bad. I'm gonna respond, but what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go back to the countdown screen. I'm just gonna disconnect you, and I'm gonna have you tap right back into that link. So we'll see if we can clear up those connection problems. Okay.
Ninguém me ama, ninguém me evita, mesma maneira que você. Minha vida inteira jamais procurarei alguém que ame o meu amar como você. Não tenho medo nem insegurança. O sol nascerá e tu virás. Tenho confiança na sua intentação tão conectada.
Go ahead for me real quick.
Is it better?
Yeah. Is the speaker sitting on something? I think that may be a problem as well. It's just picking up some stuff. I think the speaker is sitting on something, and so it's distorting the sound. But while you resolve that, I'm gonna go into what I'm about to say. So you're absolutely right, and that's why I wanted to preface with we have done a terrible job at not just protecting our children, but protecting ourselves. It has gotten to the point where we feel as if we can't even, and it would be more dangerous to even attempt to protect ourselves. So the problem isn't just a physical component, it's a psychological one that's really impeding our progress. But when you talk about the reality, and I have to make mention to this, because we know in particular in the last 20 years, we talk about the violent nature of our youth. We talk about the vitality in the communities and how these young guys have no type of moral code and they're just doing anything and everything and they're killing each other and they're just living recklessly. Part and parcel of that is because they don't have any true faith in their parents. When you lose faith in the very institution in which is the agency of your birth, which are the progenitors or the vessels in which you have been given life, and you see their inadequacies relative to the protection of you, not only will you not have faith in them, you're not even going to have faith in yourself because you don't even have a practicing model to replicate to even conduct yourself in appropriate behavior. Because most people will say, well, we got certain high-level, influential, I'm going to stick on men right now, men in our communities, whether it be the pastors, whether it be this person or that person, sure. But in most instances, whether it be a pastor, whether it be the D-boy on the block that's getting all money, when those police roll up, and they see that little white boy with the badge, and a lot of them, not everybody, but a lot of them in recent years start to show cowardice or capitulation. What type of imagery is there for the youth? I said, hold on, you ain't as tough as you were purporting to be towards me. Because when they come around or your boss say this or that person say that, you don't have the same energy. And so you couple that with time and time again, because we know what cowards and predators to do. They prey on what seems to be the weaker part of a society. So what do those race soldiers, what do those white supremacists who are looking to take the very lives of our people to enact the physical component of white supremacy? They go after the women and children. And unfortunately, in the last 20 years, we have seen our babies being murdered in cold blood, and there has not been a response in totality from the very men who are stationed without protection. And so, my thing, even more so, Moray, is that at some point, we're going to have to be, since we're living to die anyway, we got a death diet, we got a death social system, you know what I'm saying? We do daily work, and I don't mean in the sense of just dangerous, I mean that it doesn't produce life. Our whole premise is built on just having enough money to sustain ourselves. So since we're not living anyway, we're just basically holding on to survive, why not risk our lives for what is most worthy, which is our greatest treasure, which is our children? And until the children see us take a position which we omit the fear of death in the protection of their lives, we're going to see that happen forever and ever. Not just for the children in their disobedience, but from those race soldiers who felt very comfortable gabbling that young man for some potato chips when the whole world, Moray Kananya, seen them take a man who was under their definition a young boy, go inside a church and shoot dead 9 innocent church-going people with the intent to kill. They bring him out, put him in a bulletproof vest for his protection, just in case somebody tried to shoot him, and then take him to go get his favorite burger from his favorite burger spot. There's no value of life for our people. There's no value of life for the preservation of our children. And it takes in part a lot of the cowardice that we carry and perpetuate each and every day. So it's disgusting, man. And they did. I didn't play the whole clip. But towards the end, they did mention the father. They did take him they took him home. And they said, or at least this is what they reported, that the father said that the police officers were very respectable in dropping off their child. He said, but after seeing the footage, I think I'm going to make a complaint. I think I'm going to make a complaint? To who? About what? The complaint is one from us. Why the hell is your son out there stealing some bag of chips? And it ain't because he's a damn thief like they tried to categorize him as. The boy was hungry. The boy was hungry. Because if you want to steal something, you ain't stealing no damn chips. You want to steal something that can make you some money. Whenever I see a child steal food, he's not stealing to me. He's trying to feed himself. So that's the first thing. The second thing, the complaint, is when those police officers, 5, 6 deep, brought that one young boy home crying. You're going to have the audacity to tell that now, after you've seen the tape, knowing the circumstances and environment in which we live in, asking your son what happened, seeing him coming in crying, accompanied by 6 police officers, and then you say they were very respectable. You didn't have no smoke for them then because you were petrified. And you saying you're going to file a complaint is just to save face. Because who the hell are you going to file a complaint to? We just played last week that the police officer who shot the guy from the Congo in the head got paid leave. I'm giving them back to you, bro. I'm sorry to get so passionate. But as a father, like you a father, as a brother, as a son that was raised under the ideological perspective of nationhood and independence, as spiritual as we purport to be as a people, If our spirituality doesn't take for account the protection of our babies, it's not worth nothing. We're idol worshipers. As intelligent as we purport to be, if our knowledge does not protect our babies, we're as ignorant and dumb as any people could be. As muscular and strong, as athletic as we purport to be, if that strength and that athleticism and that physical stature does not protect our babies, then we're emaciated. And so, brother, I thought that was, as I always think these situations are, deplorable. And as much as, you know, I love my people and I'm always trying to give my people a way out, I lay that at their feet. And even the guy who was recording, man, we got to stop damn recording these guys. If you're going to do something, do something. If you're not, you're not. Arguing with them, as a man, you should never argue, period. You should never argue, period. Unless you're an official debater, you should never argue. Unless you're a lawyer, you should never have any arguments. But you damn sure shouldn't have no emotional tyrants when you see what possibly could be an execution. Because we don't know if he was taking that boy home. How many cases? See, I'm not just pulling some out the backside of my behind. How many cases have we seen young black men get taken into police cars just for them to end up dead? You the scholar, Moray, you know. So I'm gonna give it back to you, man. But it was disgusting, man. It was disgusting.
Hello, can you hear me?
You sound superb. I almost want to restart the show. You sound so dang good, bro. And how you go from scratch. But go ahead, brother.
Okay. Well, I mean, the footage was very disturbing. The incident is very disturbing. But these are things that happen every day. I mean,
not to cut you off, but that's the problem, man. Like, and again, I just don't want to talk about this. I'm gonna get way back to you. But they happen every day. Happen every single day, multiple times a day. And when is enough is gonna be enough?
I've been in these type. I was arrested as a 8, 9 year old, taken to the station, crying and screaming. My dad. I mean, I've been in those type of situations. I can't really tell you. I can't remember, if how much out of order the police was, but I've been put in a squad car before, at an age at 8, 9 years old. I mean, I've had incidents like that. As far as how do we should respond to these type of acts, I mean, we got to go back. I got to go back in history. I mean, look at the Red Summer of 1921 when the reaction was, you know what? We're not going to tolerate it. We're going to defend this boy's life. Oh, you know what I'm saying? We're going to defend our children. And Chicago went up in flames, and all these other cities went up in flames. And then what was the aftermath of that? So when we say we want to react to certain like things, we have to be prepared for the aftermath. We have to be prepared and we have to be organized. And that's the problem. The problem is once we react, we don't know what to do after that. You know what I'm saying? And to be honest with you, when you choose to live in America, and that's your choice as a black man, then you choose this type of life. You choose this. You're making a conscious choice to be in the land, continue to live in the land of your captivity where your people have been punched. You chose that. So you know that your sons are going to be dealing with these type of situations. So you already know that. So now is okay, if you choose to live here in this type of situation, Okay, so how are you willing to respond? And then how you gonna deal with the aftermath of your response? For me, for me, I get what you're saying. That's defend the children, but I want to defend the children when I don't want to destroy my people in defending the child. I want to be able to defend that child, have a plan where this won't happen again. You know what I'm saying? So it's tricky because that particular session, a man is recording, right? He doesn't know, and you're right, he does not know whether this child is in real danger of his life when they take him. He does not know that. So, but this man got kids. He got a family, a wife, he got children that depend on him. If he's gone, then they not safe. So you just are we telling him to go risk his life for something that he's uncertain about? Or like we have to be, you know what I'm saying? That's why I said it's a real tricky situation. And for me, the solution is we have to be organized as a people and be able to, we have to have more structure. There's not enough, there's not enough know-how in regards to how to deal with those type of situations. We don't even have a code how we code of conduct on how we deal with the police. Everybody just doing what they want to do. They just recording, right? Some type of screen. There's no code of conduct. You know what I'm saying? Okay, police. I see a police officer abusing a child. What's the first step? Okay, let's do this. Do second step. Do this. We don't even have that. Where are the people that's training us on how to deal with the race soldiers? They're not trained. We're not trained. Nobody's saying nothing. So that's why people are reacting the way they reacting, not doing something, not doing nothing, because they really don't know what to do. You know what I'm saying? So I get what you're saying. They really don't know what to do.
But let me
You
say
know?
this, if I may interject. There are people that's attempting to train. We're so distracted, you know.
That's true. That's true.
You got organizations like the Nation of Islam. You even got KOY here in America. You got certain Hebrew communities. You got certain militant communities that train. You know, even me on the small. You know, I got not giving no details, but my martial arts team, we used to try to get as many brothers as possible for these type of circumstances and situations. I've been trained, so maybe I'm speaking from a different perspective, but I also know the value. Now I got to push back on one thing, brother. When you said, well, what the guy was supposed to do, he got a family. Hell, all of the great revolutionaries and luminaries had families, but they chose to take a position because they understand the future of their family depends on the future of their people. And somebody at some point is going to have to be that sacrificial lamb. Hell, did Harriet Tubman know the end of her journey or what the outcome may be? Absolutely not. Each and every time that she made that journey and trek to free slaves, she did it at the risk of losing her life, being disconnected from her family, so forth and so on. Same thing with Nat Turner. Same thing with Denmark Vesey. Same thing with on and on and on and on and on and on and on. This is what it's about, man. Death is a part of living when you have something to live for. And I understand what you said. I understand what you're saying. I
What
do.
I'm saying, what I'm saying is that he's not certain what the outcome would be. If this was the time of the KKK and it was a lynching that was occurring in the South, and you knew that they was about to take this boy and hang him on a damn tree, then what you're saying would be the rational response. Of course, you gonna risk your life because you know for certain that this boy's life is in danger. But when that uncertainty is there and that doubt is there, then that's when, you know, okay, what are the measures? What are the steps? And when I'm talking about training, I'm not talking about being able to physically because he wasn't sure was he in a situation that required that type of response. And so when I say training, we need to be able to be trained to know what type of situation we're actually in,
Of course.
or how
How to
severe the
articulate yourself,
situation.
how to
Yes.
be quiet at times.
Yeah.
I'm saying
Right.
that. That's part of
Right.
it. Physical is a
Right.
very small, minuscule component.
Right.
But again, if I may push back respectfully, when you
Right.
say that, well, we don't know, that's what makes it even more dangerous. That's what makes it even more dangerous, because we don't know. But one thing we do know, that there's enough examples of it going the other way that no chance should be taken relative to the protection of our babies if we're saying that their lives matter. When the signs are there, we have to be that sincere and serious about that protection, because all it takes is one red flag. Again, brother, listen,
Well,
this ain't for everybody. This ain't for everybody. I'm gonna shut up after this. Let me close this last piece out, and I promise I'm gonna wait to you, and I'll end on this subject. This isn't for everybody. I know what I'm saying seems extreme, but I understand also the great strides that we've made in the last 400 years, and I would even say past the transatlantic slave trade. When you go back to the continent, when you go to those revolutionaries that did great things, it takes this type of fearlessness, and it takes this type of commitment to one's greater good. And the greatest good for our people, especially as fathers, is our babies. I couldn't even fathom. I'm just saying, me. And maybe I'm stupid. And maybe I got a death wish, but I couldn't fathom. And I thank God that I haven't been in that situation enough. But I couldn't fathom seeing 8 white police officers surrounding an 8-year-old kid. He had them gather up, and I know what's going on. And I speak about it and teach about it. And I'm just going to say whatever it is. Whether it's me, I ain't saying I'm coming in guns blazing. I ain't coming trying to use my martial arts and ninjutsu on everybody. But I'd be damned if I just let them take him away, irregardless of circumstances. Irregardless of circumstances, because that don't even matter. They don't care about that. That's the thing. That's the thing. They don't care about him stealing no damn chips. They didn't care about nothing. It was a situation where they had the ability to impose their will. They had a situation where if the opportunity presents itself, we got a mark that we can notch on our belts. That's what it was. And I'm very aware and I'm very clear of that. And I, as a man, just can't in good consciousness see that happening and then just take a back seat. Just me. Or maybe I'm stupid again. Maybe I'm too zealous. But until it's a couple more of us, and I said it ain't. But if it's more brothers that's on that type of framework, this thing get changed overnight. That's the code. You say, what's the code? That's the code. That's the code, because we all got our circumstances that's going to be and variables that will be different, and we all got a skill set that we're going to lean to. So we can't have the same playbook for everybody. But if we got the code that, hey, I don't give a damn what's going on. You ain't about to kill our babies. If he did something wrong, he did something wrong. But I'm going to accompany you to that police station. I'm going to make sure he's protected. I'm going to make sure he's safe. Woo, wop the bam. I'm staying with him till we call the parents. Hey, young man, let's get his father on the phone. Let's get his father to come down here right now. You see what I'm saying? That's the code. And so, again, I give you, I told you I wasn't going to be long. I'm giving away to you, man, because we got 2 more subjects we got to get on. But I'm saying, I'm passionate about this because I'm looking at my babies. You see what I'm saying? I be have to tell them, I was like, hey, man, sometimes shut up. But then it's sometimes you got to speak, too. You see what I'm saying? But the most important thing is their protection. That's why we became vegans. That's why we became Hebrews. That's why we did all these things. Because we said, hey, we got to protect our children to the best of our ability. And all these things that we have acquiesced to and we have taken on in this life is not just for us. And we talked about this before on other platforms. Once we become husbands and fathers, our life don't belong to us no more. It belongs to them. And so whenever we get into, well, I hope I don't get killed, you already dead. If something is threatening your babies and your woman and you worry about if you gonna die or not, yeah, you don't deserve your life. I'll shut up.
I'm not on mute. Well, I think when you really got riled up, you were you were mentioning what I'm talking about. We can't assume that people know exactly what to do. It may sound like it's common sense, but it's, common sense is not that common. But I think what you said is, one, be aggressive, stand your ground, right? We have to train our people on how to deal with race soldiers. Two, make sure that you get everybody's name. Make sure you follow that squad car. Three, make sure they identify themselves. Make sure they identify what the crime was. I mean, we got to have, and again, I never thought of myself ever talking about these types of things because, again, the solution is so simple. Our people must come out of Babylon. Otherwise, we will continue to deal with these situations. But I talk about it because I'm here and we dealing with it. So if we gonna deal with it, we got to have something comprehensive to be able to maneuver through this. Everybody's not gonna deal with it the same way, but there needs to be some type of code our people have to have when it comes to race soldiers, and we can't assume that everybody has this common sense logic on how to react. And reacting with your emotions is not the answer all the time because you get you and that child killed. So we have to be very, I think we have to be trained on how to deal with that. Not only from a physical sense, but from uh uh just being able to psychologically deal with that situation.
Yes, sir. We're on the same page, brother. But again, like I said, for us, all children are our children, and we gotta look at it that way. And the second part is, you're right. We're not gonna be able to teach the 40 plus million of us in the time frame that they're gonna need it. And so my thing was that you just articulated it perfectly. Do what you can intelligently and aggressively, not emotionally, but aggressively, meaning that you're being as proactive as you can be in that situation, and that you're taking all the preventive measures in which to take to save
Stand
that
your
child.
ground. Stand your ground and be aggressive. Be assertive. Don't show any signs of weakness, and make sure that whatever your actions are, you protect your child and you protect yourself. That's it.
You a man. Be a man. If you're gonna be a man.
That's it.
Because them same Negroes will kill you for stepping on their shoes. So that's why I be having, reservations about a lot of these guys, man.
Yeah, but they could do that because they think, one, they think they can get away with
My
it, and
point
two,
exactly.
your life don't value. It's not.
That goes to the original point I
They're
started
not
on.
gonna get away
Everything
with
come
the
full
race
circle.
soldier.
Yeah, everything come full circle. That's why I said we don't value each other's lives.
You can't lock them up, and you can't lock him up.
Yeah.
You don't have any power over him. He knows who his master is. So he's always going to be apprehensive about challenging his master.
Yes, sir.
You just a slave like him.
Teach.
So
next subject, brother. It's gonna be touchy for a lot of people, but it needs to be had, and we kind of touched a little bit on it last week, but I believe it gets more serious when you're talking about babies, when you're talking about the conditioning of children. And we understand the eugenics movement was a genocidal movement of the eradication of black people. But they realized very quickly to kill physically the black man would be damn near impossible without destroying the whole planet. So their objective intelligently, I would say, wickedly intelligently, changed to eradicating and decimating black manhood. And so they seek and they sought to remove the black man from the social systems of this planet, in particular in the diaspora. So turn the black man into a perpetual child or a black woman. That has been the objective. And so they're realizing that, well, some of these Negroes kind of sneaking through because we're trying to attack them and emasculate them too late in life. So let's switch it up and let's get them from the womb. Let's condition a woman to have a frame of thinking that the black man is not necessary. And then when that child comes out, let's condition him to be so sexually confused that he don't know if he's going left or right. Now, the one constant, the one certain thing that is given to us, that is distinguishable, as the scriptures say, from like night and day, is male and female. But when you blur those lines, then you have a society, you have a social system, you have a civilization that is unable of standing on its own 2 feet because it has no distinguishable roles. And when you don't have distinguishable and definable roles, everybody and anybody does anything. So that means you have total confusion. So I want to play a clip about the contextualization piece, and then I'm going to segue into what I want to talk about relative to something that's just, I'm not going to show it too long because it is that disturbing, but we got to talk about it because it's bigger than this particular individual. We're talking about millions of children that are at risk. Let's play this quick clip.
It's controversial video.
Meantime, in other news, remember last week we told you a story about how a number of Disney employees walked off the job last week because they felt that Disney did not do enough to oppose a bill that passed in Florida. It's HB House Bill 1557. And what that bill does, because it has been signed by Governor DeSantis, is it prohibits teachers from providing instruction on sexual orientation and gender identity to children between the ages of kindergarten and 3rd grade. So they just don't want teachers talking to kindergartners, 1st, 2nd, and 3rd graders about sexual orientation or gender identity. So that we knew for sure because that was in public where they walked off the job. But now Chris Rufo, a journalist, posted on Twitter some videos that show pretty much exactly what Disney behind the scenes is thinking. Watch this.
Roberts and like our leadership over there has been so welcoming to like my like not at all secret gay agenda, and so like I feel like I felt like it was, I mean, like maybe it was that way in the past, but I guess like something must have happened in the last like they are turning it around, they're going hard, and then all that like momentum that I felt, like that sense of I don't have to be afraid to like, let's have these two characters kiss, let's in the background this, like I was just wherever I could just basically adding queerness to like if you see anything queer in the show, I'm proud family, but like I just was like no one would stop me and no one was trying to stop me.
So it's not
Oh man, you want to lead off, Moray?
Are we talking about Dwayne Wade's son yet?
We are. We're about to go into it, but I just wanted to, before I bring him up, I just wanted to touch that real quick because I thought that was, because when we bring on Dwayne Wade's son, we're talking about a child who from a very young age considered himself to be other than what they say his assigned gender was. And so he was born a young man and he identifies as a young woman. A lot of that is a cultural, social component relative to inside the home, but then it's reinforced, or a lot of times it's reinforced from the home and influenced from the outside. I think in that particular incident, it's equal. But I wanted to show this because I believe that we're at a point where, like the lady said, this is a black woman, I have a gay agenda. She works for Disney. She said, I seen that there was no backlash relative to me having cartoon characters kiss each other. And she said, once I seen it wasn't that, I just tried to throw in as much gay and queer stuff that I possibly could. this ties into what we're going to talk about with the Dwayne Wade piece, and it also talks about what we just left. This is about protecting of children.
Yeah, well, I mean, who can make war with the beast? You can't make war with this beast. He controls your media, he controls your food, he controls your water, he controls your air, he controls everything. And so even when you think, even when you have the mindset, well, I'm going to rebel, I'm going to rebel. If you don't 1000% rebel against his system, he will continue to dominate you. He will dominate you because he controls every facet of your life and he's controlling your destiny. And as long as that you coexist with him, and as long as that you live within the boundaries of his civilization, he will continue to dominate you. There is no resistance to this other than for you to absolutely step out of the matrix. That's it. Because what are you're
What time doing?
going to do? Controlling the cartoons that your children watch. We create these networks. We create this. We create that. What does he do? He ends up buying everything that we create. He'll buy it from us. Some Negro will sell it to him, and he'll control that.
Mm-hmm.
So what are you going to do? So there's no answer for fighting the beast in the way in which what you just presented. That there's no fighting against that other than to completely step out of his matrix. There's no fighting that because that's what he's intended. I mean, it's written in all of the spiritual writings what his agenda was. It's dehumanization. It's the total destruction of the planet. And he's going to do that biologically and socially. That's what he's doing. So the only way for you to, and even the scripture said it'll be hard, it's going to be hard. She just admitted that was a powerful segment that you put out, her admitting the fact that there's we all know it's a gay agenda. What we going to do about it? Our kids still watching Netflix. They still watching Disney. Then we produce something of our own.
Yeah. It's
I give it to you, Prince.
No, it's
that's
it's a very sad situation that we ourselves don't just fall victim to it. We supported our own destruction, in essence, in such mass numbers and with such enthusiasm. We're very enthusiastic about our own decimation. And so, I'm looking at that, and you're absolutely right. Disney owns not just the Disney brand, they own Marvel. Everybody's favorite superhero universe. They own ABC.
You mean to tell me they own the Black Panther?
They own the Black Panther.
See, I love the Black Panther. What we gonna do?
Well, they making the Black Panther a woman, and I'm sure they're gonna try to make her gay. They're gonna try to make his protective, all-female guard lesbians. The man is
lesbians in Wakanda. Lesbians in Wakanda.
So and I hate to tell y'all, they own ESPN.
Sure do.
And so when you see guys take a very effeminate position, like Stephen
A. Smith, I knew you was gonna talk about
Stephen A. Them guys, you see. So I'm telling you that the agenda is more covert than we it's overt, but it's even more covert than we realize to a certain extent because we thinking we just watching sports, but they're showing us the emasculation of black men every chance they get through whatever agency.
And we participate, bro. Look at Russell Westbrook and how Dwayne Wade in them dress.
Yes, sir.
Wearing purses.
Yeah.
Be wearing heels in a couple of years.
Oh man.
I think Cam Newton was wearing heels. We ain't even got to him yet.
Yeah,
I think I seen him in high heels before. And skirts and stuff. So we participate in this and we know better. And we know better. But it seems as if once these men reach a higher level of success, everything that you and I are passionate about, you know, they ain't thinking about that shit.
Thinking about it. Not thinking about it. Let's go to your boy, Dwayne Wade, son. So I'm gonna pull up some tweets.
Wow.
Got a picture of it, and there's some tweets with it. I'm gonna read the tweets. I'm not gonna hold it up too long, and then we're gonna go a little bit further in the discussion because even in these brief tweets, you're gonna see the dynamic in which we're talking about right now being acted out in real time. Now look at this. So this is the tweet. Now you see a picture of Dwayne Wade's son, who's now a girl, dating a white girl who's now a boy. I gotta be honest. I have never been this confused in my life. I am all for living your truth, but this is a little wild. Y'all know Zaya Wade, Dwayne Wade's child, who transitioned into a girl. She is like 13 and now dating a girl who transitioned into a boy. Right under it, somebody posted, it says capital P. It says the Wades need to go to jail. And it's a picture of all of them together and then the two hugged up. Now, as a father, I'm not too gung-ho about my little girl, that's an actual girl, kissing a boy at 13. Especially not in front of me.
Hold on. Gung-ho. Hold on, Prince.
It's not even accepted. It's not even accepted. That was me being
gung-ho.
That was me being politically correct. I take it back. It's not acceptable.
Oh my God.
Especially in not my presence.
That's child pornography.
That's child pornography. But I want to read this tweet from a female named Jason Recast T'Challa. That's the handle. Erica something. It says, "You're a black man in the U.S. military upholding imperialism. Be quiet. Sending love to Zaya Wade and all black LGBT youth who are in dangerous environments because of people like you." Did you hear it?
Yeah.
I'm gonna read it
some of those comments.
Yeah, I'm gonna read it one more time.
Mm-hmm.
You are, so he says, this brother says they need to go to jail. And you're absolutely correct. Because that is child pornography. Having two 13-year-olds kissing and groping each other in a public environment is completely inappropriate, irregardless to the the homosexual connotations to it, transsexual connotations to it. But when you add, as the previous tweet said, why is Dwayne Wade's son, who calls himself a girl, dating a white girl who calls herself a boy? So even in their attempt to do this transsexual, homosexual thing, they're not even doing that. They're not even doing that. And then this ignorant woman has the audacity to come on and say, you a black man in the U.S. military upholding imperialism. Be quiet. Sending love to Zaya Wade and all the black LGBT youth who are in dangerous environments because of people like you. We told last week how black gays are in danger. It's because they're looking for interracial homosexual sex, and that white man or white woman that they're seeking to lay with is end up being the producer and the progenitor of their death. Black children are being sexualized, so because it opens the door for pedophilia. That's why they're pushing it the way they are, because there exist organizations like Man and Boy Love and other organizations that don't call pedophilia. It's the desire to like young children or some weird satanic phrasing and terminology they use. I can't even remember it. I try to remember everything, but it was so sick and gut-wrenching that I wouldn't even allow it to be in my recall. But the dangerous thing, again, goes to how we're not protecting our children. Dwayne Wade. And Chicago can't really claim him because he's from Robbins. And anybody knows Robbins, it's a small little hick town right outside of Chicago that's his own little economically deprived enclave unto itself. So I'm saying all that said, he was so poor growing up. That's what he tries to paint it. He was in this poor environment. He got to Richards, which was a private kind of like high school in the Chicagoland area. Then ended up going to the University of Milwaukee. Marquette. Marquette University, right?
Marquette.
Yeah.
Marquette.
Yeah, Marquette. Marquette, what am I talking about? What's Marquette? Is that a street or something? Probably one of the homies from high school, so I don't know. Marquise, that's his name. That nigga gonna be some money. No, I'm just kidding. No, but not to add some levity, but this is a serious thing, though. He went to Marquette. He got into the NBA, and he said, man, I'm not going broke again. I'm going to do whatever it takes to preserve this money, to live this lifestyle that I was seeking as a young man. And I don't know if he encountered any homosexual engagements in his growth and development, but even before this, he was on the iffy side. We just chalked it up to him being a little bit eccentric in the Miami land area. He down there in Miami, okay. He just want to dress a little flamboyant. It's hot all the time down there. I don't know. We gave him the benefit of the doubt. But then he started to unravel. The more his career was unwinding, he was becoming not that key player that he used to be when he won the MVP and they went to the championship and all those different things. Now we see a man who is just not unwilling, but seems to be incapable of protecting his children. This ain't about no hate. This ain't about, we know how we feel about it. We know that it is a weapon used against black people to destroy the very essence of who we are. That's how we see homosexuality, even if you don't see it like that. Even if you quote unquote agree with it. To sexualize that young boy like that is sickening, and it shows how weak and cowardice we truly are. Because he's 13 now. This has been going on for at least 4 years now. And when you're talking about transitioning, it has nothing but sexual connotations. It has nothing but sexual connotations. Because what are you trying to, as a young boy, what are you trying to do as a young girl? You want to wear a dress? That's what? You want to play with dolls? That's what is it? I'm saying, what in your mind? You can say, well, you're ignorant. You don't understand it. But it looks like they don't understand it. He did all of that to end up with a girl anyway. I'll give it to you, bro.
Well, after really thinking about it, because it really disturbed me when I first saw it. And it's been on my mind. You know, Dwayne Wade is from Robbins. Yeah, it is its own little enclave in the south suburbs. So it's relatively near me, about 15 minutes away right now. And so he's about the same age as me. And anybody that come from the city, you know, I have, you know, a strong affinity for. And so I always like D Wade and but this one, I mean, I guess over the last 2 years, my mind, I've been having a different type of opinion about him. But this was just over the top because at first I wanted to talk about the young boy and his transition and him being, I guess he's transsexual. I guess I know it's kind of confusing. I'm not really astute to the different terminology. I think he's transsexual. But then after I thought about it, he's not the problem. The kids aren't the only sick people. The parents are even sicker, you know. Those adults, these black people who condone this type of uh, exploitation of our children are sick. And Dwayne Wade and his wife, I ain't even gonna just talk about Dwayne Wade and his wife and her parents and whoever, whatever adults is around this child are sick. They are the sick people, and they should be the people we're talking about today because they are the problem. And this child isn't. He didn't make himself. He didn't put himself alone in that situation. His parents and those adults around him, they help create this scenario, and they are helping the exploitate. They helping the media and the Western world exploit him, and it's sickening. It's sickening. And I go back to Dr. King. I'll go back to Dr. King because this is, to me, that's one of my favorite speeches when he talks about how we were seriously maladjusted. And when he used that word maladjusted, talking about how we were deliberately put in the state of degeneration, purposely. And this is degenerate behavior, but not just by the child, but by the parents. This is the degenerate behavior by the parents. And how do we become maladjusted? Through miseducation. Through miseducation. Dwayne Wade is poor, coming from a town where, I mean, is poverty stricken. So he definitely had a low level of education. His wife, on the other hand, far as I know, she come from a middle class background. Her parents had some money and stuff. She was educated in a sense, but they both ended up degenerates. Okay, they both ended up degenerates. So what's the problem? It ain't just education and literacy, but it's the miseducation. But we gotta identify what the miseducation is, and the miseducation begins, as far as with our people, is knowledge of self. That's where it begins. The miseducation of our people begins with knowledge of self. And we start there with knowledge of self. When we don't have knowledge of self, we don't understand our purpose. We don't understand our purpose. And so what happens? The scripture says in Hebrew, it says tohu vavohu. When we don't understand our purpose, we have this chaos and this confusion. And so what we looking at in this confusing scenario with his son that's identifies as a girl liking a boy that identifies. That's the confusion. That's the tohu vavohu that the scriptures was talking about in the beginning. And the creator had to come and recreate and restore the whole planet because it was off track. Well, we in that condition right now. Our people are in that tohu vavohu state and condition, in that state of darkness, because they have no knowledge of self. They don't even know their purpose at all. And it's such a shame because we've had prophets, we've had messengers, we've had messiahs come, we've had individuals come and teach us and give us little, whether it was a little light or a lot of light. They've come, they preached the gospel and gave us understanding, a little light for us to shine a little bit. And we still find ourselves, majority of us, in the condition of complete darkness. And so, after really thinking about it, I don't even want to touch the subject of the child's sexuality and how weird it may or may not be. I'm really fixated on the degenerate behavior of the parents and the lack of parenting and just the complete, and they're allowing him to be exploited like that is a shame, and it's criminal. It's criminal. Like the brother tweeted, they should be locked up for that. They should be locked up for allowing a child who's not fully developed, because according to Western science, you don't reach adulthood to 25. Your brain doesn't fully develop to 25. So we're talking about a very well underdeveloped child, as far as biologically. He should not be making these type of decisions and even participating in these type of acts at his age. So that's how I got out after really thinking about it, Prince. I know I said I was going to talk about this and that, but what really kind of stuck with me is just the degenerate mindset of the parents. And hey, it's Dwayne Wade and Gabrielle Union are not alone. There are black people co-signing this. So we're talking about the degenerate state of a large segment of our people who don't see the gross darkness of this. That's the problem. I'll give it back to you, Prince. But that's what after really thinking about it, that's what kind of resonated with me.
No, you're spot on with that assessment. It has been said and reiterated that the reason why Dwayne Wade is so supportive of his son's decision is because he's vicariously living through his son. Now, the reason why they shut out.
Well, is his wife vicariously losing through his son?
Well, you talking about Gabrielle? So
yeah,
she did a book.
Because
she did a book where she talked about a lot of her sexual exploitations. So she is one who has been mentally, spiritually, and physically ravished throughout her lifetime, where she's confused sexually. And this is a coping mechanism for her. And because she thrives psychologically, I'm talking about based on her writings, off the manipulation and emasculation of men based on how she felt men has done her in the past, she takes this position. But what I was about to allude to is that the reason why they silence the birth mother is because she does not co-sign this. She refused to call him Zaya. She said his name is Zaire. That's my son. They restricted. See, the white man always sides with the woman in divorces. I don't care if you're an athlete or got money or not. The black woman always wins. But when the black man is taking the agenda of the white man, now he trumps seniority over the black woman because that black woman wasn't going along to get along. She wasn't capitulating to the new societal norms like Dwayne Wade is. Try to take my camera off. Hold on one second. Let's see if it go dead on me. All right, I'm going to keep going for right now. Because you can still hear me, right, Moray?
Loud and clear.
So my point to that is that if we don't understand what you just articulated, as black men who feel that we're doing right by ourselves, our family, and our children, that allow these type of atrocities to happen, we have to look at ourselves in the mirror and say, what's really going on? Because remember, the root of sexual confusion is to keep a people docile and complacent. So you never focusing. You said the key word confusion, confusion, confusion. It's about confusing the people as much as possible. And if you're confused about your sexual orientation, by nature, you're going to be confused about everything else. How can you be logical and sensible about sincere and serious matters of the world, of society, of geopolitics, of social systems, of on and on and on, when you're not secure about the most primal aspect of one's life, which is their sexual orientation? There's no confusing. So if you're saying this isn't right, then you'll go for anything, and they know that. So how do you keep a people never fighting the system, white supremacy? You have them fight themselves by being confused by their own sexuality. Yeah, I know I got this phallus in between my legs, but I'm a woman. We co-sign it. Remember, I started off saying we don't want our children to be men, because to be a man means you have to fight the system, and that's too scary. So we play right into the hands of the eugenicists by making black men perpetual women and children. Because you can't win a war or be a whole civilization with the absence of manhood. And so when you talked about the played that Disney clip, because they understand based on their Western knowledge and their Western understanding that the mind is so undeveloped and malleable that if we can continue to give these visual cues, if we can keep using these terminologies, whether they fully understand it or not, they're going to go with it. It's no different when you and I was growing up and we wanted to be Superman and Batman. Am I correct?
That's a great point.
So they understand the same blueprint work. Hey, we keep throwing these damn transsexuals and these damn, they gonna want to be that. They just want to be what they see. And then you make it successful or looking successful. You put it in the form of animation. We're talking about a malleable brain now. It's no different. But what they're not saying is a lot of those children who make those decisions when they do grow up and say, yeah, I made the worst decision of my life. I want to be a man. Because now I'm developed. I don't want to be Batman. We grew out of wanting to be Batman and Superman.
Good point, Frank. Good point.
Well, I trust your words, so I'll leave it at that. Let's go to this last subject matter, brother. Hey, you a husband, I'm a husband. You a father, I'm a father. When I see this, it disturbs me so deeply. I've been off the market for a while, quote unquote. I guess as a Hebrew, you ain't never really off the market. But as far as I'm not, in the dating realm, but when I look at the current circumstance and situation doing dating, it's really discussing the divide or the perceivable divide between men and women. And I don't see it too much, but again, I'm not in those environments, but we know it's evident and we know it's real based on the fervor that comes from these particular subject matters. And so I'm going to play a clip from Cam Newton, and I particularly picked this one from the show The Young Turks. And the reason why I picked this excerpt is because I wanted to do two things simultaneously. Black people, stop going to these liberal so-called platforms and getting your understanding and talking points from them. Nobody cares about you. Nobody has your best interest in mind. Listen to this damn devil articulate his hate, not for Cam Newton, but for black people in totality, and using these situations as a scapegoat. But also listen to brother Cam Newton, because that's what we're going to be talking about.
I knew what a woman was, not a bad.
Okay, what's the difference?
A woman.
Okay.
A bad is a person who's just, you know, girl, I'm a bad, you know, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. I look the part, but I don't act the part.
Cam Newton, a man who certainly tries to look the part every time he's in public, had some hateful comments on a hateful network.
And it's a lot of women who are bad, and I say in a way not to degrade a woman, but just to go off the aesthetic of what they deem is a boss chick. Now, a woman for me is handling your own, but knowing how to cater to a man's needs.
On the show, $1 million worth of game, Cam goes off the deep end.
And I think a lot of times when you get that aesthetic of like, I'm a boss, like I'm a this, I'm a that. No, baby, like, but you can't cook.
Okay.
You don't know when to be quiet. You don't know how to allow a man to lead.
Ah, yes, because have no fear, women around the world, Cam Newton is here to lead you. This wouldn't be the first time Cam has pulled shtick like this.
Devin Funchess has seemed to really embrace the physicality of his routes and getting those extra yards. Does that give you a little bit of an enjoyment to see him kind of truck sticking people out there?
It's funny to hear a female talk about routes, like, it's funny.
Remember this exchange with then Panthers beat writer Jordan Rodriguez? She now covers the Rams in LA, by the way.
In 2012, Newton called another female reporter sweetheart.
Only thing I control, sweetheart, is myself.
And he's really taking the heat off these clowns for a minute, isn't he?
My one and only response to Cam Newton's interview, and if you didn't see it, here's the gist. You can only be a bad or a true woman if you fulfill a man's needs, okay? Let them speak, so... Or you let them lead, okay? Fair enough. No, not fair enough. It's 2022, babe.
Liv Moods then entered the chat.
Wake up. Also, you've got me messed up if you think I am doing things for a grown-ass man that he is fully capable of doing himself. I married a man, not a baby. Thank you very much. I will be a great wife someday. Believe that. But I am not at your every beck and call. You know why? Because I'm living my own life too, babe. Period. Yeah, Cam, that wasn't...
So I had to stop it because I was over here, stomach was just turning upside down. Now, there's a couple things I want to deconstruct. And I'm going to give away to you. My camera went dead on me. Getting it back up, come back in. But we got the handsome old Ray to kind of get all the visuals, but you're going to still hear my voice. One, that sister shows how far our women have failed relative to the understanding of marriage, motherhood, and family. I preach and I teach that you don't become a wife after a ceremony. You become a wife even before you meet the man that you intend to marry. You become a wife at home. Your mother should train you on how to be a wife because there's certain principles inculcated in being a wife that one must already know, learn, and master. Same for a husband. You don't become a husband after the ceremony. You become a husband before you go through the ceremonial process of marriage. You become a husband in the household because the father is to train you on how to engage as a husband with a woman, because there's certain principles inculcated in being a husband. Husband and man are synonymous, but husband takes on the responsibility of another person. Father takes on it's the same thing as man, but takes on the responsibility of not just a woman that you procreate, but also the product of their procreation. But these are all things that you got to already kind of know before you get into those engagements. I don't care what job you do on this planet, you have to go through training first. It could be McDonald's. They're going to put you through a couple-day training because you got to know the systems, the principles, the protocols. It's the same thing for marriage. She'd never be a wife. Not that she can't have a ceremony, because she don't have the mind of a wife, because she was never taught and trained, and based on her articulation, she doesn't have the desire to learn. Therefore, at best, she'll be what Cam Newton said, a bad bee. And I mean that in the most negative connotation. That's first. Second, I hope y'all heard that Arab Caucasian guy denigrate not just Cam Newton, but he was throwing jabs at $1 million worth of game and calling them a degenerate podcast and these different things. And then they was pulling for straws. Now, I ain't gonna lie, it was kind of funny, the wide receiver thing, talking about routes. That was kind of wild. I don't know if I agree with that. But to then try to say he was being misogynistic or sexist because he said sweetheart, that's a term of endearment. I know we lived in this new age where everything is sexually assaulting a woman, smiling, being cordial, opening the door, you know, those type of chivalrous things that we were taught. Yeah, my brother, breathing. So, but let's go to the subject matter. He's absolutely correct. There has to be definable roles in marriages like everything else. You don't have an organization or a company where they're not definable roles. And we don't understand what our roles were when we were our strongest. How do we ever come to the conclusion that we can re-amalgamate ourselves to that level of strength, security, power, and poise if we don't even take interest in what we did when we were at that point? So I'm gonna give way to you, Moray, without again, because there's so much on this subject matter, but I'm gonna give way to you.
Man, first and foremost, the white people, that's a distraction away from really the subject, because I don't want them a lot to distract, because what Cam Newton talking about is so important, and them white people coming in and having their opinion about what he said is just a real distraction. And it's the type of distraction that we for so long succumb to, you know. This subject is so important, and shout out to Cam Newton for having the courage to really speak his mind and really speak his heart. He was just speaking from the heart and speaking his mind in regards to one of the biggest issues plaguing our community is the destruction of the black family. And I think his opinion, and contrary to what this news network, Young Turks, his opinion not only matters, is extremely valuable for us trying to reverse the destruction because he's a successful black man that has the potential to build a powerful black family. So for them to try to say his opinion doesn't matter is such a distraction for us because we should be only concerned with what our people have to say in regards to this particular subject. We're talking about the destruction of the black family. So to his points, if you want to know the backdrop of why he's saying some of the things, there's statistics. 10 years ago, I think it was 70% of black families ended in divorce. That was 10 years ago. And there was a book even written, and you could look it up, Prince. It was called Is Marriage Only for White People? It was a book written. Someone chose to capitalize off this particular issue that was plaguing our community to write a book saying, is marriage only for white people? Because black people are not having any success in regards to being married and staying married. And so today, it's increased, I think it's up to 80%. And Cam Newton's comments in regards to what he's looking for in regards to a wife, a suitable mate for himself who's a successful black man. And like I said, has the potential to build a strong family. He was letting you know what he's looking for in a woman. Now, everyone may not be looking for the same things in a woman, which, again, that's why this conversation is so necessary. But for most men, Cam Newton was echoing the sentiments of what I would say is the typical or the general sentiment of black men. We want a woman that can nurture us, take care of us, cook, and if we are men, very masculine men, not toxic masculinity, the way many of the some of the foolish feminists kind of say masculinity is toxic masculinity. That ain't what I'm talking about. But those who are masculine by our nature are attracted to things that are feminine. And feminine nature for us that are masculine is someone who's soft spoken, someone who's loving, caring, sensitive, right? We even like a little vulnerability. That's what masculine men like. And so the brother Cam Newton was just echoing the sentiments of what I would say, and you can correct me if I want, bro, which is the general sentiment of black masculine men. And his opinion, like I said, is so matters because what is happening is our black women are not listening to us. They're not hearing us because of these goddamn distractions. That's why the conversation needs to be us and them. Us and them. We don't need nobody interfering in this particular conversation because the fate and the destiny of the black family relies with us. So the conversations need to be us and them. And even when we're having these conversations, everybody needs to be present and represented. So I know I'm not saying that in this case, we're just talking about the incident, but I'm saying when we really get deeper into the subject, we need to really be having these conversations. So I want to just say that Brother Cam Newton is on point in sharing his opinion because black women should be listening. And Prince, I even told you this week that I was having a conversation with a sister who his words really resonated with her. Stuff started to click after she heard what Cam Newton had to say. She was like, "This has been my problem," and I'm like, "Wow!" And when I'm having a conversation, I'm like, "Wow, Cam, just him saying that little bit woke you up." And we had a whole conversation, and I further enlightened her to what Cam Newton was alluding to. Went deeper into it, and she had a whole. Of course, she went through flashbacks with past relationships. How she felt that she was the problem in certain scenarios, and we talked about this and that, and man, she came back very enlightened. So, shout out to Cam Newton for sharing his opinion because it's going to spark the necessary conversations that's going to bring the black woman and the black man back together. So, uh, anybody that's speaking negatively on Cam Newton is just an idiot, bro. They're idiots, man. And definitely don't let outside people come in on the conversation of the black family because we're in such dire straits. 80% of our marriages fail. And again, 10 years ago, they wrote a book, Is Marriage Only for White People? So don't let white people get involved in this particular conversation because they don't care. In fact, if they do care, they in fact like what's going on. So they will encourage you to be, I don't want to call the sister stupid. I would say ignorant. The sister that was in the segment, they encourage that type of ignorance because they like the way things are going. They like the state and the dysfunction of the black family. So definitely don't let them get involved in this conversation.
You're absolutely correct. I want to go to these tweets. Tashina Arnold caught fire this week or last week. Similar situation to what's happening to our brother Cam Newton. But she took another position. And I want us, see, that's why I said, I don't think it's a divide like that, but there are definitely people who are in opposition of the healing of the family and the reinstitution of manhood and womanhood, which would open.
When you say Prince, when you say it's not a divide like that, what are we talking about?
I'm saying that it's not a total, complete divide where, as I pose the question, is the gap between men and women, black men and women, unrepairable? And I would say no. And this tweet bears witness, even though this is somebody who.
No, definitely.
Oh, no, of course not. Yeah, but you would think, you watch certain platforms and you see certain conversations and you hear women like that who are the loudest usually in this conversation, it would almost seem as if, oh man, there's no future. Even though this sister, Tanisha Arnold, is a little older, but she represents. So I'm gonna read the tweets real quick and then we're gonna finish up with this.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
It says, honest question. What can we as black women in America do to stop aiding in the emasculation of black men in America? I'm going to say it again. She asked the question, she said, honest question. What can we do as black women in America to stop aiding in the emasculation of black men in America? She got another question. I'm going to read this real quick. She says, still reading comments. Woo! 2 thoughts. Number 1, despite all, I will never be fearful of asking any one question. Second, the black man and woman needs to heal together. We are up against a plethora of odds that are continually stacked against us. But it won't change my love for all of us. Small print. I just wanted to make sure I read it correctly. Then the last one says this. Now, this was a response. I put this up because I wanted this. This was a response to the first question when she asked, what can black women in America do to stop the aiding of emasculation of black men? And a lady, Jennifer Lewis, it says, in human form. That's her handle. Black men use their privilege as men in a patriarchal society as a battering ram against everyone in our community. And it's not for us to aid in some imaginary emasculation of black men. This is the same tired narrative that creates pick-me mommies and overworked daughters. Stop. Let that sit on the screen for a little.
Okay, you ready for me to respond?
I'm ready. Go ahead.
Well, to Tanisha Arnold, I think I said her name right. I think the answer to her question is black women have to do a better job of building the black family, and black women, black men do too. We have to both do a better job in building our families and staying in our families. We gotta stop getting divorces, man. That's the problem because these single moms are raising these boys, and that's the emasculation right there. That's where it begins when the father is not present. So if she was asking the question to black, what do black women got to do? Black women need to first choose better mates and then stay with them and stop all this flip flopping and these divorces because that's what's contributing to the degeneration of the black man and emasculation of the black man. So that's the answer to her question. We gotta start keeping our families whole. The second part with the woman with the Twitter, I think she was talking about there being an illusion of emasculation, and she sounded like an ultra feminist. She even talked about how we live in a patriarchal society. Well, I would argue against. Well, I would think maybe white society is patriarchal, but black society is neither patriarchal or matriarchal. We have no power or hierarchy system within our society. We both are victims and pretty much bottom feeders. And so I don't see that type of hierarchy, us being in a patriarchal society in America. Maybe you might look at it different, but I don't. And even if we go back, if this person was here, we was talking, I'm sure she would talk about Africa and stuff like that. And well, Africa wasn't even a patriarchal society. It was, most scholars would say it was a matriarchal society, but I'll edify them and say it was neither. We had a clear system in which both man and woman were both valued. We had the perfect system where both man and woman were both valued. So when it comes to black and African people, we never built societies in that way, and we don't know nothing about the Western world and how it was created with this patriarchal system. They ain't got nothing to do with it.
You're right. Again, the question was posed. What can black women do in America in particular to stop the aiding in the emasculation of black men? First point, she identifies by qualifying her statement and saying, stop aiding. She qualified the statement by making the assertion that, hey, we as women are contributing into the emasculation of black men. So for the sister, I'm going to answer her question as I answer the first question, that the sister who had the retort to say it's an imaginary system of the emasculation of black men, you saying that and we just showed you continuously black men who, to even get any prominence in mainstream media, must wear dresses. We showed you for black men to get any position within the corporate world, they must sit down, shut up, and take their verbal and sometimes, depending on the circumstances, physical beatings from their overseers. We know predominantly, and I say currently in Atlanta, where there are a substantial amount of black men who are executives, and 75 to 80% of them are homosexual. Because the gay black man is non-threatening to the white power structure. You know, there is no patriarchal black society when a white woman can call the police and get us shot down in the street because she don't like whatever she don't like about us. That they had to, even though they don't enforce it, make legislation to prohibit false police calls that in most cases end up in our termination. Literally. Is that a patriarchal society? There's laws here in Georgia, Illinois, Texas, Florida, and I can go, it's probably every state, that if a police officer is called relative to a domestic abuse, even if the man is the one who makes the call, if he don't have substantial markings and injuries, he is the one who's taken to jail. That sounds like a patriarchal? No, this ain't imaginary. This is literal. So, but we know she's probably LGBT. And I hate to sound like my brother Tariq Nasheed. She may be from another country somewhere. Because to make that type of inaccurate statement means that you either completely ignorant of the realities, and you got to be from another place on this planet, or you agenda deceive and cause destruction. So we're going to wipe her away. But back to our dear sister. First, you made the acknowledgement. That's the first step. You are contributing to our emasculation. I'm not going to say that it's you and you alone and we don't play a role in positioning. But that's not the question that was posed. It's what can women do? First, stop creating a false sense of what a man is based on television, based on this misconception of high status, that you don't get a man for the value that he has intrinsically based on, you get a man based on what you perceive he has in his account. That's first. We're not dealt the same hand you are economically. And we still overcome financially. But a lot of our brothers, through incarceration, through miseducation, through a lot of opportunities that were prohibited to us, don't have the same earning opportunities as black women do.
See, that's why I want to have a black woman here, because a lot of people wouldn't agree with that one.
Let me say this. Who, by stats, who is the most educated and most degreed demographic in America?
The black woman.
The black woman! What jobs in this day and time that you can earn a substantial amount or a substantial wage without any letters, without any degrees? You will stop.
But
You
here's
can
the
read. I'm asking the question. Hold on. I'm asking the question now. I'm just asking the question. You got to answer that one first, and I'm gonna let you go. But I'm answer that real quick because it's a part of my diatribe. What high earning jobs can we get, irregardless of race, without having the proper letters, to having the proper degrees?
What up?
I'm
About
asking
100,000 on up.
80,000 on up.
That's what you do. 80,000.
70,000. Even
Who
though
you asking?
70,000.
Like black?
No.
Talking
Listen.
about black men?
Listen to what I'm asking. I'm asking, irregardless to race or sexual orientation, what jobs that you can earn 70,000 or greater without degrees? I'm not talking about race right now.
Oh, okay. Truck driving.
That's about it.
That would be my.
That's
truck
about it.
driving.
Jobs. Now you can be on your entrepreneurial tip, and we've been forced to get into that. But while I bring that up, if the black woman is the most degreed and the most educated out of any demographic, and the black man has been intentionally removed from that sphere of being able to go into those institutions for a myriad of different reasons, that means we're already handicapped with certain opportunities financially. Is that correct or incorrect?
What I'm saying is
No. I'm gonna get. I'm gonna let you go. I'm gonna let you go off. But that I don't want to. I want to. It's on my point.
Okay.
Would you agree with that point?
Restate the last part, so I make sure I'm clear on what you
If
said.
black women are in position based on their education, which we all identify based on the stats that they're the most lettered, right?
Yes.
Significantly more than black men, correct?
Yes.
We are withheld from a large pool of earning opportunity through structured systems as jobs and careers. What I'm saying is, does that sound like a patriarchal society to you? So
You asking me?
Yeah, no, that's a rhetorical question. So if women are looking for equal or greater earners than themselves, and they're not looking at the merit of the man in the current situation and using whatever capital that she has to enhance his entrepreneurial spirit, what does that do? That creates an even greater pool of unmarried women and men who are deemed disposable. And so now you got a dynamic where the man is unable to be a man in the sense of providing and having provisions due to a systemic approach of economic deprivation and the loss of economic opportunities. Woman's in that position, and she sees that not from a systematic white supremacy standpoint, but hey, well, I went to school, I got a degree, I got a good job, but you got to at least earn this. We don't live in that society. But I'm saying that is a form of emasculation. That's just one. So what I said was, let's reframe the criteria and not be solely based on earning status, but earning potential relative to a more comprehensive and holistic approach. You get what I'm saying? Because that leads a few men, which is the circumstance, with all the women. And there's no way that those few men can adequately love, care, give guidance to a multitude of women, and they don't even have the attempt to do so. So what do? They sleep with them.
All right. Let me chime in.
All right, let me finish this last point.
That's it.
Last point. I don't got a picture up. I don't got a camera up. So you got to give me a little bit more time. There's a joke. No, so let me say this. That's one point. The other point that I really wanted to hit on is that the emasculation that women aid in relative to black men is what Brother Cam Newton was alluding to. A man can't be a man in the household because his woman is always challenging him. She, even if it's not conscious, subconsciously knows that he's in a weaker position through the onslaught and, like she said, the plethora of hurdles that we face. And so that advantage is usually taken by the woman and manipulated in a way where she pokes at him, where she pricks at him, where she pushes him to do something like we spoke about at the beginning of this show that makes him respond in an emotional way. A woman's power is in her nature. Her nature is her submissiveness. That's what he was talking about. Irregardless to where you feel you are financially, educationally, socially, when you join yourself to a man, you have to give him. He has to earn it. He has to preserve it, but you still have to give him the opportunity to be a man. And that's what our women are not doing. It's about perpetual challenge.
I got it. You got to let me in here.
Go ahead.
Because you said a whole lot.
I'm saying what it is.
And so you said a whole lot. One, that's why I'm not comfortable talking about what women should do when women are not present.
She asked the question.
I'm not. I said I'm not. I'm saying I'm not comfortable. I know we talking about it. Yeah. I'm just saying that it's important that we have this conversation with them because there are dynamics and intricacies about this particular issue that women need to express. That's why when I was talking about Cam Newton, it was important that he expressed his opinion so we could begin to have constructive conversations in regard to how do we fix this issue. Can you still hear me, Prince?
I hear you loud and clear. I got it on mute.
Okay, great.
I'll jump in.
Great. Okay, so the conversation is needed for us to be able to come up with the solutions. As far as, and see, that's why I have to go back to what you said earlier because you had said something so key that I want to talk about. But give me 1 second as it comes to my mind. A lot of what you talked about, to me, deserves the perspective of a woman because women are busting their ass getting where they going. And see, that got to be pointed out. I'm not trying to paint the picture that the black man is lazy. But let me be very clear. The black woman is getting up early morning, busting her ass to get to where she going. And so I got to speak up for that. I can speak up for the men that I know and I see that ain't busting their ass.
But those women, listen.
Black women are busting their ass.
Listen.
Hold on.
Those women produce those men that they outshining.
Oh, of course, but this is not a blame game. This is a conversation.
No, it's not about.
And so she said, "What did she?" Right. This is a conversation that's needed. You're absolutely correct because it's almost like a domino effect. One thing affects the other, and so that's why when you read her comment, I said, well, the first thing we need to do is try to keep our families whole. Let's keep these families together. Let's work this shit out. Because that's going to help us resolve a lot of this mess that we got going on. We need to work this thing out. If the black man is lazy, if he's lazy, you got to push him harder. You got to push him harder. He needs to be pushed. He needs to be pushed. If the black woman is not cooperative, we got to be articulate enough to express ourselves to get her to understand. We got to be able to articulate that to get her to understand. So both of our problems is each other's problem. Both of our problems is each other's problem. She ain't acting right, that's my problem. working hard enough, that's her problem. We got to have a symbiotic relationship with our woman. We got to be one in which we push each other to perfection, bro. So what I'm saying is simply that we have to acknowledge when you said the black woman is getting these degrees, well, they busting their ass, bro. I'm in the school system, so I'm in the classrooms with the young kids. I see black girl magic every day. Black girl magic every day.
You're going in and
I
out.
can tell you. Oh, I said, I'm in the classroom and I see black girl magic every day. Every day. But I can, and this is not a knock, but I don't see black man magic every day.
Because they killed you.
So there's, okay. But no. I'm talking about what the condition is. Now, how we got there is a conversation. But we have to identify where we at in order to come up with the solution.
Hey.
So what I'm saying is, the black man, we have a lot of work to do in building ourselves up, and we want our black woman to help us and encourage us and push us, not to degrade us, not to discourage us, but to help us. And we want to help them become clear about their purpose and get them back to understanding why their role is such importance. But that comes through being articulate and being able to express ourselves and having these real conversations with women. When Cam Newton had that conversation, that's why I heard it. It was sister I knew. It resonated with her. She had never heard none of her boyfriends or husband, whoever she had, talk to her that way. She was waiting on that. Man, what do you want from me? And tell me in a way in which is respectful. That's what black women want. And so we got to be able to express ourselves. The problem with a lot of black men, we don't know how to express ourselves. I see it every day in the classroom.
So let me say this. I'm sorry. No, go ahead.
But go ahead. I'm done. I think I made my point that we in a symbiotic relationship with the black woman, that our growth and development is contingent on each other. Listen, and how we deal with each other.
I agree with that, and I guess you can't take nothing for granted because I didn't go through that whole conversation. When I personally talk about the dynamic of man and woman, and anybody could attest, and you bear witness, I don't even take what the women or the women's approach or their lack of into consideration. I always approach it from what we can do better. That's how I teach. That's how I live. I live in a house full of women.
Yeah.
So I know it very, very well. But I'm not going to avoid the question. And so the question was, what can they do? And you're right.
Right.
The first thing they can do, I should have started with this. Listen. Irregardless to how inarticulate or unexpressive he may be at the start. And a lot of that is from retention of feelings and emotions and words and sentiments because he feels like he's never being heard, because whenever there's a conversation, very few men can actually win a conversation with a woman.
There we go.
You see what I'm saying?
That's the problem.
Of course.
That's the problem, Prince.
And I'm a professional speaker, and I choose to shut up. You know what I'm saying? So I'm clear.
But we gotta start winning these goddamn conversations.
And so
because they
go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, I was about to say this.
I was just
they gotta listen. They gotta start listening.
Yeah.
That's first step.
I hear you.
And implement. Right. They gotta take heed. Nobody's excusing. Listen, my mother lived that life. But I also seen my mother die in the age of 52, 53. And I attribute that to her doing too much black woman magic. You see what I'm saying? and exhausting herself. I mean that seriously. I ain't trying to make light of it, but that's for real.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
Right.
she tried to take on too much.
Right. Right.
Go to school, be work a job, substance abuse, then do part-time teaching as a special ed teacher. You know what I'm saying? Trying to raise a teenage boy, a teenage grandson. Then got 7 other children, other brothers in and out of the streets, and it was too much, man. With no man,
Right.
she literally worked herself to death. And so what I'm saying is that approach don't work for nobody. I hate to quote Kevin Samuels, but you gotta give it to what he gave to. He said, "Pressure is built for shoulders, not hips." You know what I'm saying? And so, we can carry that a little bit different. Our Constitution is built different. They are the vessels in which life comes through. Our responsibility is making sure that life does come through and come out, that we're able to keep it up and support it. So what I'm saying is, you're right. I should have prefaced with this. Women, if you want to stop in the aiding of emasculation, listen to your men. Take heed to what he's saying and try to implement it.
Right.
I tell Anashim all the time, hey, I'll do whatever you say, but it's a way to do it. You come submissive, I'm going to feel obligated to do it. I'm giving you the sauce, but because, like you said, our women have been trained not to hear. Not to hear. We work against our own best self-interest. And that alone is emasculating. Because
another thing, Prince. Another thing. I was just something that you just said. There are certain activities, and sometimes in these relationships, there are certain activities that are masculine. There are certain activities that are feminine. And many oftentimes women and men too get confused when performing certain activities together, who should be leading. If you in the kitchen with your woman, you should be submissive. Baby, get that fork out the kitchen. Okay, baby, let me help you.
Facts.
But see, we get confused because we don't understand, because we're not in our original language, in our original culture, or what is particularly masculine, what is particularly feminine. When you are outside of your household, right, the confines of your house, the nature of a man is to protect his family. So in anything activity outside of the house, the man should always be the leader of what's happening, because he is the protector. Inside the home, when it comes to cooking or cleaning, you are assisting her. You are her assistant. So then things
But they don't want to do that
how
no
we
more,
talk
Maury.
to, huh?
They don't want to do that
But
no
what
more.
I'm saying is,
Yeah.
what I'm saying is the language. We don't know how to change the verbiage and the language when we performing those activities. So sometimes women are speaking the same way in all activities, and they don't know what. And that's the conversations with baby. You can't talk to me like that. I know when we in the room and you ask me to pick up my clothes and stuff. Yeah, that's cool. But I'm at the bar and you telling me go get my drink, baby. That's not. we not in my room when I threw my shirt on the floor or something. And so that, to me, those kind of conversations in regards to how men and women react in different scenarios, and how a woman should always speak to her husband. And again, she should always be respectful wherever I'm not saying she's supposed to be different. What I'm saying is, in the confines of a home, there's a certain conversation, and outside the confines of her, there's a certain conversation, because women are leaders in certain activities. They are leaders in certain activities. It's not that women are always subservient everything in every activity. that we do. And so I think those kind of conversations need to be had more. And because I think we're so disconnected from our culture, we as men and women are confused about how to interact with each other at certain times. We're confused, but we got to have these conversations. So, like I said, I think these conversations are best when women are present because they do contribute to another dynamic, and we're not gonna fix the problem, me and you. Men ain't gonna fix the problem between men and women. Only men and women gonna fix the problem.
Yeah. Well, I'm trying my hardest with my daughters. Hey, I'm gonna tell you that right now. But that's you got the last word. So
oh, okay.
Emasculation. So that was the question. How you stop emasculating us, and I think we covered it.
Yeah.
Listen, women, you got to listen, and you got to be respectful. That's the first step. You know, what is for us is not for everybody. That's first. I think that's a very potent and powerful point, that the conversation that you, and that should always be respectful as well, but the conversation that we have behind closed doors is not the conversation, or even shouldn't even have the same tonality that we would have in a public.
Exactly.
So,
women get confused with that all the time. You ain't had no problem when I said, well, baby, hold on.
I was halfway listening first. I'll tell you that. But yeah, we're in the crib. Yeah, I'll let it pass. But
right.
Yeah. But you got, that's why some men say you got to check everything at the door. But that's another conversation.
But see, that's another conversation
Yeah.
because some women, man, please.
Yeah, we're going for another 3 hours. You got the last word, Moray. Wrap it up.
Well, I think the topics we definitely hit them on the head, and we talked about the resolutions for a lot of these different issues that's plaguing us as a people. And so the Prince and the Professor podcast is geared towards uh, issues concerning the Black community and how we come together as a people and become united so we can withstand white supremacy and extinction, because they go hand in hand. Extinction and white supremacy go right hand in hand. That's the agenda. So I appreciate everybody for listening. Prince, I appreciate you and everything that you had to say. Thought provoking always, and hallelujah.
Well, we definitely gonna have a lot of beautiful clips for this upcoming week. And continue the conversation. For those who watching, I know I didn't say it. I wasn't being responsible to my obligations. Like, share, subscribe. I hate to sound like a YouTuber, but don't just help the algorithm. But we want to get this message out there. We want to put this in as many households, as many listeners as we possibly can, because this is out of love. We're not the Young Turks. We're not CNN. We're not MSNBC. We're not them crazy people on Twitter. Like, we sincerely love and care for our people. And we in the streets, we do it in our homes, and we trying to do it online as well. So share the message, continue the conversation. If you leave any comments, hey, we'll respond, as long as it's a sensible conversation that you're trying to have, or intelligent question that you're trying to pose. Have no problem responding. And if you're really serious, hey, DM you and we can set something up. But again, we want to fix this. And that's what the Prince and Professor is about. We only want solutions. Even when we articulate quote unquote problems, we understand where it comes from, what it's produced from. But we also understand that only we can solve our problems, and only we gonna fix what we know has been broken. Only us is gonna save us, as they say. And so I thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. I thank my brother, my friend, my companion, Professor Moray Kananya. And until next time, this was another installment of Prince and Professor Podcast, where we electrify and edify. I think I like that one. I might have to use that one again. Until next time, peace and blessings.